Hey guys, Mike the Viking here, back for yet another video. Today we got a Rust update video. A lot of stuff was added this week. We've got the graphics overhaul, which completely changes the graphics in the game. The main thing I would say is that we just have a change to a lot of the clutter. You know, when you ran in a forest previously, there just wasn't this stuff laying on the ground everywhere. We've got rocks, flowers, all sorts of new stuff in terms of clutter. We've got logs. They've also updated a lot of the trees, so they don't have any ugly looking ones. Are they still low poly? Ultimately, yes. They're not that detailed, but as a whole, it's obviously a huge improvement over the previous system. They've also completely overhauled the lighting system, which I think is the main reason it looks so good. It just looks better, straight up. There's not much more you can say. Here's a look at the winter biome. Once again, I think the biggest changes are the trees and the lighting system. I don't see as much clutter around here, but I think they did update that a little bit as well. But you know, we never saw trees like this before. They were always fairly undetailed, and now we've got a lot of stuff going on, so that's good to see. Here's a look at the desert biome. You can see once again they've just updated the trees. We got some palm trees that are a little bit higher detail again, but they've also added cactuses or cacti. When you hit a cactus, you get water out of it, which you can drink. Well, it says eat, but it has water in it, and that's good. But if you get too close, it does deal damage to you, so when you farm it, just be a little bit cautious. Another thing which they've changed this week is they made it so that color grading is a default on option, and it's something which you can't turn off, which is an interesting choice. Color grading ultimately just makes things look a little bit more punchy. Stuff that's supposed to look orangey looks a heck of a lot more orange, and it looks in a way a little bit less natural, but definitely improved. But if you were one of the people that didn't like the color grading, you could turn it off, but this is no longer an option. Here's a quick look at a few of the other bushes they've added to the desert biome. Just more clutter and variation, as I was saying earlier. The more clutter the better when you're building a map. It just makes things look less plain and boring. Next up, they've updated the bone armor in the game. In the past, it was broken up into pants and chest pieces and all that jazz, but now they've just made it into a suit, and you can no longer put clothing or something on top of it. You're just stuck with the vanilla setup, so it's more of a suit instead of just separate armor pieces. They also have the bone helmet. Now the specs are a little bit broken. If you look here on the left, this is what I'm getting when I put this armor on, but it says that it's supposed to be a lot more effective than that. This may just be the old stats. They have made bone armor a lot lower level. It's now unlockable at level 9. Before it was a fairly high level armor. In fact, I think it was the best armor you could get. They've kind of changed the purpose of the bone armor now. Now it's kind of like a low tier, easy to get armor. One issue that I see with it for sure though is bone armor is less effective than wood armor and chestplate when you put it on. You can see that I just have less overall protection. It's like slightly better at bullet, but that's not enough to use it, so I think this definitely needs a little bit of tweaking. Plus, of course, the advantage of wood armor is you can put other clothing parts on, so I don't know how often people are going to use the bone armor, but we'll have to see. The military tunnels have gotten a huge upgrade. Not only are they now fully textured, they've also added onto them a couple cool looking dungeons. On the outside, they've added this sniper tower looking thing, maybe a radio tower. However, it currently is not enterable. The door is locked, but I presume in the future you'll be able to climb up here and potentially snipe at people that are interested in going into the tunnels. And as you can see, when you enter the tunnels, it's a huge upgrade from before. No low poly, low res textured cars sitting around, except for this tunnel in here. For some reason they kind of abandoned it. However, you can see that down here is totally new and improved. Before it didn't really go down like this. Now it's just a huge dungeon to explore. Before it was fairly small in comparison. And I gotta say, I absolutely love changes like this. I've always felt like rad towns just weren't worth going to. And now with huge places with like this and tons of opportunities to get loot. I mean, there's an AK right there. Now on the outskirts of the military tunnels, they've added this little mine. This is just another very unique looking tunnel, and it's wonderful seeing new and unique stuff like this. Any new environments like this I'm a huge fan of. It just keeps things unique, and instead of getting bored of running in forests all day, you now have new and unique environments to explore, which is awesome. They've also updated the bus stop. No longer can you build on them generally because they're a lot more closer to the rad towns, so I think this could be the death of the beloved bus stop bases. They've also added these power substations to the game. Now, they're just randomly spawning throughout the map, but they're once again very close to rad towns. This is just another opportunity for people to find loot, and instead of finding it once again in boring forests, you now have something unique to look at. The lighthouse is back in the game and has a huge upgrade. Unfortunately, it's not enterable right now as a regular player, but us pesky admin abusers can do so. But it's still a work in progress. As you can see, I think they gotta add more clutter. We can go up here and you can see that it's another spiral staircase and takes you all the way up to the top, of course. Definitely a very cool looking lighthouse, a huge upgrade from the past version, and I'm excited to explore it once it's fully complete. The hangars at the airfield have also gotten a huge overhaul. I think we got a pattern going on this week, no doubt. The last ones were definitely a little bit lacking in terms of detail, and these are certainly a huge upgrade. One thing they have changed is you can now easily climb up on the top of these hangars, which should make for some interesting PvP encounters in the game. You know, you have a new angle to shoot from which we never had before. Maybe a fairer chance against these raid towers. Ultimately, guys, all these additions to the map are just going to result in more loot for people to find, which I think is a great addition to the game because in the past, people were getting upset that they had to farm for everything. So now you can attempt to get lucky at maybe the hangars or at the new military tunnels. There's just a lot more options and there's more loot there in general. Another thing which they've changed this week is they made it so that gamma boosting is no longer as effective as it was. And I guess this is a good thing, which means people are going to be forced to use flashlights, which is nice, but I feel like it could still be improved. The main thing they've changed is the shadows are pitch black, you can't see anything in here. But you can still see stuff a lot brighter if it's in like the open areas like that, or anything bright. Ultimately though, it'd be great if gamma boosting didn't exist, so this is certainly a step in the right direction. The final thing they added this week is they updated the sounds for the LR300. They just sound a little bit more mechanical, which I'm always a fan of, and definitely a little bit more, I guess you could say, realistic. If they're interested though, one thing that I noticed with the animation, so in that reload animation, you'll see that he flips the gun to toss the mag out faster. But when I slow down this animation, you'll see that the magazine does not drop realistically. It kind of looks like physics is like taking a quick pause before the mag comes out. That's all they've actually added to the game this week, but they've actually made a huge progress on a bunch of other stuff. Firstly, it looks like the MP5 is getting added to the game soon, which is super duper exciting. It's not completely textured yet, I would say. I think it's kind of like a low resolution version. I would hope that they add this next week to the game because, as I said earlier, who doesn't like guns? The more guns, the better. I've always thought that a semi-auto rifle would be a fantastic addition to the game. I mean, something more suited for long range, maybe similar to a Dragunov or maybe an M14. Something in 308, a little bit more powerful. And they've also been working on spiral staircases so that you no longer have to, you know, place multiple ladder hatches in order to get up in your base. I personally support this. I think it's always been stupid how it's kind of annoying getting to the top of your base. They're also going to be working on tweaking a lot of the view models because currently the left hand is kind of in an awkward position if you pictured it in real life. You can see that they've kind of made this update already on the semi-rifle. However, I will note that it's kind of broken when you run out of ammo on the semi-auto rifle. You can see when he's clicking the gun empty, it goes to the original position. And I don't know if anybody's told them that, but I would hope that they update something like that because it's been in the game for a few weeks now, and it's just obviously something that doesn't look very professional. Lastly, it looks like we'll get that vending machine soon added to the game. It's sort of meant as a trading tool so that you can toss an item in there and then people have to pay to get that item. I think this is a cool idea, and it kind of adds a different area to the game. You know, trading in the past was kind of unprofessional and kind of sketchy, but with this kind of tool, you can't really get scammed because you just have to place the item in there and then you're good to go. However, it'll also add an interesting side. Maybe people will be going after these businesses that are trying to run trading outposts, and they'll be trying to blow up the vending machines. Now, this is of course recorded on my Rust server. If you want to join, there's info on how to do so in the description. It's a 2x gather, modded server, 3x XP, a bunch of other good stuff. It's definitely worth checking out. I play on here myself every so often on an alt account. All in all, it's a fun server, and it would be a pleasure to see you on here. That's all I've got for this week, guys, in terms of updates. A really awesome update this week. I'm really enjoying all the stuff they're adding. You know, last week we had this sweet LR300. Now we've got a graphics overhaul. We got an MP5 on the way. A lot of good stuff coming to Rust, and I'm very excited for the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.